Running Sentences presents A Spy's Dagger, Part 5, A Humbling Trip. Getting off the island might just be possible. It comes with risks and chances that might be better not taken, though, which leaves Dante with a lot of hard choices to make. This story is written and narrated by Michael Harry. It is a work of fiction, so any names, characters, businesses, events, and situations within the story are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, situations, characters, businesses, events, and/or fictional businesses, characters, events, and etc. and so forth is purely coincidental. Copyright 2025, Michael Henry. All rights reserved. Dante had spent little time thinking about what the poet had said, when he went to the dining room of the house. There were 3 or 4 of these scattered around the massive place, and this one was on the simple, plainer side of things and quiet. He was sitting enjoying a bit of food when he realized the captain of the guard had come into the room and was staring at him from the doorway. She soon approached, and he just sat there and waited until she was right in front of him. "I take it I've done something wrong if I've drawn your attention, miss. Might I ask what it is, or what is this problem you have?" "You haven't, actually. I'm here to escort you." "To my doom, Captain Helen?" "No, Dante, not that. I'll show you to a secret room where people want to meet you." He looks over Helen, captain of the house guards, doubtfully. A lot of people apparently wanted to meet him, to talk to him, or something like that. This was something he really wasn't too used to, since everybody now knew his name, and it just meant that he wasn't being a very good spy, and laying low. "And are you willing to tell me who this mysterious person is, or am I just to follow you to my doom, as I so proclaimed before?" "The choice is actually yours. I don't really care what you do. You can stay here or come find out what's going on." "So this person didn't tell you what's going to happen?" "I have enough to worry about. 50+ odd people running around like they own this place, plus a spy who seems to have caught everyone's interest." Dante growled in frustration at her answer. Why was it now of all times that his ability to fade into the shadows was failing him? And why was it failing him? Eventually he did rise from his chair, thankful that he'd at least finished his meal before it had been interrupted. "I take it we're to leave the house and go somewhere into the woods?" "No, we're going to one of the wine cellars." "A secret organization has already started up here. In a couple of days? Or were they already here?" "I don't know. I don't care. Just follow me." Leading him through a variety of rooms and then down 2 floors into a wine cellar, Dante was brought before a table. There were a group of people, men and women, sitting around it, looking bored. There was also a bit of a rich stench from them that reeks of far too much perfume, floral, and other varieties that just seemed to stick to the air. Captain Helen stopped in front of the table, surrounded by casks and stacks of bottles of wines or other alcohols that Dante couldn't read from his spot behind the captain. "As you requested, Mr. Dante is here." "Thank you for your help. I doubt you want to get caught up in any more of this mess, so it would be best if you just leave, Captain." She steps to the side, turns and eyes Dante for a moment, and then with a shake of her head, leaves them alone. Now able to fully see the table, there were no people that he recognized, though he was sure at least he'd seen a few of them around here. You aren't the first, and hopefully not the last people to summon, and probably not the last people to summon me, especially lately, but, what can I do for you, ladies and gentlemen?" You need a ride off of this island, right? Yes? This is what we are told by some higher-ups, and you don't look like a person who really belongs here," the man who dismissed the Captain Helen said. He offered a shrug in response to this line of question from the man. "Lots of people have said something similar to me. What is it to you?" "Our little organization doesn't want your type around. Therefore, you may be able to get a ride out of here." "But only if I do as you say, sir?" As Dante asked this, he moved a little closer to the table to get a better view of the group. There was a big round thing that sat at least 10 to 12 people. A few chairs were stuffed in close to give everyone room, though, in this tight space to sit. As the head of this organization, that is our offer, yes. And what are your stipulations? That I never return or something like that? Or rat you out to the king? Or what is it? What are you asking for? Money. I don't know or think I can help you in that situation. The king provided me only enough to get by and to find out about what he's looking for. I don't think I can be much of a help to you. This was a lie, but he was waiting to see what would happen, as the man sat forward in his chair, waving his hand to dismiss this, though. We understand that quite well. After the fact, when you get paid for your work, it's more when we're interested in. You'll be rewarded handsomely for your work this time around. Considering this and narrowing his eyes, Dante wasn't too sure about this. Most of the time he was barely paid for his work, so why would they expect a big payout for this job? This simple, small job. And why did they even know about it? I think there's been some sort of misunderstanding about me and what I do, or how I'm paid. Mr. Lucian never makes mistakes, Mr. Dante. We know all about you and your hidden stashes of money. It isn't hard to get to that, and take it as payment for letting you get out of here, or for not doing as we ask. So you want to blackmail me into doing something for you? That's your grand plan? No, we don't. You will wind up helping us in the end. You don't want to be left here to rot after all, or caught up and told you're the murderer, or poisoner, or whatever it was. The veiled threats were not really all that veiled, and were now coming thick and thin. It made Dante's skin itch, and he really wanted to do something about all of these people, though there was nothing he could do. Well, if you've already had your location of my money, then there's really no need for me to do anything. You have what you want, and there's nothing I can really do about that. So you're saying you won't help us? I can't help you. There are no promises that I can keep that would allow me help your goals or whatever else you're trying to do, which you haven't really told me, aside from getting me off of the island. For now, I can make a promise to keep quiet about all of this, though. This Lucian rose from his chair, putting his hands on the table so that he could lean against them and towards Dante. With this accomplished, he then glared at him. We are powerful. I'm sure you are, Mr. Lucian, and you'll be a thorn in the king's side and princess's side for years to come. But currently I cannot help you with your issues. I have no way to do so, I have no knowledge of what you want, and, well, this just seems silly. He'd stepped back towards the stairs to get out of there. They were a good distance away, that he could cover the distance at a good speed, if needed. None of these people looked like they would run after him, though he'd be surprised before, so he wasn't about to test things out just yet. You will not get far, you will have to come back to us to get out of here. We will see, sir, we will see. Turning on his heel, Dante left after saying that, more annoyed than anything else. It felt like everyone knew he was here, yet why would they know such things? He was going to need to find someone, and soon, to provide an explanation, or just to get a ride out of here. He wandered a bit about the house, looking for anyone important who he might bother. So far he had no luck, and he now found himself in a gaming room with a billiards table, a chess set, and various books on subjects to do with gambling or gambling. Oddly enough, Captain Helen was also here, looking over the affairs of two arguing men in a rather heated debate about something. Now, both of you, shut up. We do have a makeshift prison down in one of the cellars. If you prefer to cool off and think things over there, I would not recommend it, though. It is not comfortable. The two men grumbled with one another, one walking off and out of the room, while the other sat down heavily on the plush nearby chair. Since there was no more arguing, she turned and spotted him standing in the doorway. Do you want something, Dante? A chat if you have some time. With a sigh and rolling her eyes, she made her way over towards him to be able to speak in a softer, whispered tone. Is it about getting off this island? Yes and no. More about how everyone knows who I am and why I'm here. Someone is talking about me, and I need to know who. Why do you think I would know anything? The person who guards the jesters and the clowns while the criminal is found knows more than they generally let on to. If I said I did, what would you say? Dante grimaced, even though he knew the comment was coming. Everyone always wanted something in return, which was fair enough. He just wished for once that he could get away with not having to pay a fee. Great, then you know what a headache it is to have me around. You know I need a boat out of here. She looked him over for a moment, nodding slowly as if considering things. You certainly are a problem to have around. And we have a solution. Get me off the island. Simple and easy for everyone. She seemed to be considering this, making her head go back and forth, in a sort of nod but not quite one. It's more a head tick, and she just kept going until she came to a stop. There is a boat that comes to deliver supplies tonight, over on the north shore. You'll need to sneak aboard and not be seen at all, and it might take a day to get back to land, but I'm sure a person could hide for long enough. They could be there. Dante took a look about the place, trying to orient where the north side would be. It was rather pointless being inside the house and having no compass about the place, but he did this anyway. Interesting, and you didn't tell me about any of this, did you? She nodded, smiled, and merely walked out of the room. As expected that night, Dante found the north shore where the dock was. A decently sized boat was just about pulling in, while he hid in the nearby shadows of trees. He figured it would take a couple of hours to offload the thing, since there was no cranes. He watched and waited to see what would happen as the boat bumped into the dock, and a few shouts went out. Men and women quickly got to work dealing with the cargo, and he, on the other hand, was trying to figure out the best way to get aboard without being noticed. The best way would probably be to slip into the water and then cling to the side of the boat, but that would be cold and wet process, and he wasn't sure if the sides were smooth or not. Hey, we need to get this boat moving. No sticking around longer than necessary. Why is that, sir, Mr. Crew Member? We were told, Butler, that someone would be trying to sneak aboard. If they do, then we don't get paid for the trip. I'm sorry to hear that. We'll be as quick as we can, but it is just the two butlers and a maid handling the job and your crew members. Yeah, just be quicker and faster. I will work as quickly as I can. Faster, a crew member called out. Do you want me to do this, or keep a watchful eye for the person you're afraid of? I can only do one or the other. Make your choice. While this was going on, Dante crept his way closer to the ship, keeping to what shadows he could find. The tree line soon went away, leaving just a small beach area in the docks. There were small waves that lapped onto the island, making a bit of noise and allowed him to hide his steps amongst dead leaves and other plant life that lay on the ground waiting to decompose. It was cool and quiet, a perfect chance to just creep along in the dim light of the night. A few lanterns hung about the ship, casting their light where they could, but it wasn't really enough to pierce the air or stop anyone from trying anything. Captain Helen, I see you're present here. Why? I needed to make sure things were going smoothly here, also to prevent any criminals from doing stupid things. You never know with this whole lot of weird people we've assembled because of orders. Snoring to himself at that comment, Dante slipped into the water and began swimming to get around to the boat. Dante had clung to the side for most of the night. He was trying to dry himself off from his little swim, and it took longer than he would have liked, thanks to the cold night air. There were a few handholds here and that were along the sides for repair work for the ship, should they need it, but that hadn't made things much easier for him. He could hear the crew working on various things around the boat, which also meant that he had to keep moving to avoid being seen. How are things, first mate? All set, sir. We're offloaded and we'll fly back to land thanks to being empty. I'd much rather have cargo, first mate, so we could make some money on both legs of this trip. Are we paid like we're making 2 trips? Yeah, but I just wish we had cargo since no one's going to believe that you'll come to shore without cargo aboard. You know how many odd stares we're going to get in questions. We'll be accused of losing cargo to pirates or something by the dock authorities. A grumble of words from the captain were loud and clear, which was great to Dante's ears. There was a good chance you could hide out in a hold that was empty and they probably wouldn't be visiting it, and this was about to be a much faster trip to get to land. Though he still needed to get onto the top deck and sneak somewhere safe. Not that there would be anywhere safe on a small ship. So far he'd only counted 10 crew who moved about the decks, and they would notice him in an instant given the chance.
Are we all clear, first mate?
Yes, Captain. Cargo is off and the ship is ready to go. Do a sweep of the sides of the ship, and then push off. Let's get out of here, the captain ordered. Aye, aye, sir. George and Lewis, take the lanterns and look around the place. Look at the sides of the boat, I mean. Make it quick. The sooner we're out of here, the faster we get paid. The sounds of boot against the deck rushed about and made Dante press himself against the side of the vessel as much as he could. He hoped they weren't going to be searching very hard and would merely glance over the sides. After all, quicker was better in this situation for them if they got moving that much sooner. The sounds of boots approaching and then a flash of light caught him squarely as a man looked directly at him. Frustrated and clinging for his dear life, Dante raised a finger to his mouth, signaling for the man to shush, and then reached for a small purse by his belt. The worker then stared for a moment more. All clear on this side, came his voice. Clear on this side as well, came a shout from the other side of the boat. Cast off and take to the wind, get us moving. More boots clomped around and shouts followed as they set off. It wasn't long before things fell quiet and this sailor from before reappeared by the side of the ship. You're paying for my silence, the sailor said. I can pay more, but not until we land. I just need to get close to shore and the mainland, Dante replied. I could get fired and thrown off this ship for helping you. You're not getting paid enough to not take that risk, though, Dante pointed out. What makes you say that, man? The man towered over him, leaning on the railing as Dante kept his hold on the side of the ship. His grip was not doing great, and the island was still visible, but only a little bit. You wouldn't take my offer if you were getting the money you wanted for this job. You can think that all you want. Dante's muscles aching and needed some form of release, so he began crawling his way up towards the railing. There he was helped over the side by this man, and a second later he could feel the purse being lifted from his side, which he already knew was coming next after that. Despite his aches and pains, Dante crouched as the sailor's other hand came up to try and push him overboard. The hand missed, and when it went by, Dante, who dodged to the side, pulled a dagger from his sleeve out, and then went right for the throat of the man. I have no problem killing you and taking back my money. I could probably kill the entire crew if I needed to, but I have no interest in that. I just need to get to shore. You want to live? Stop doing stupid things. You're the one we were warned about, the sailor spat out. Probably. I don't know who you were told or warned about. Well, I kind of do, but it's not my problem. You can have the money, no problem. And even some will be sent to you in a few weeks' time. Just let me stay up here for a while. How were you even holding on? Withdrawing the blade from the man's throat, Dante took a few steps back so that he could stretch out his tired muscles, but found himself slinking down a bit since they were so cramped up. His legs and muscles were all aching from his efforts just to hold on. He had climbed up onto the deck a few times when no one was looking, but it hadn't been for long, and he had to hurry back down more than a few times. Are you just going to go grab your other crew members and try and throw me overboard? I might do that, the sailor responded to Dante. Well, you can have my purse, but you won't make it very far if you try that. So then I'd say no. But you don't trust me on that, do you? Of course not, mister. What do you want? Good. Don't trust me. Keep it that way. I just need some rest for a bit. Take the purse, hide it, and don't come searching for me. You'll never find me. This crew member who had found him was slowly backing away as Dante now sat down with a groan of satisfaction. Soon the man was gone from sight, and he had a chance to look about. Probably wouldn't be too long until he was back with some other crew members demanding answers. 10 crew, and if I kill 1 or 2, they might start listening to me, or they might all try and kill me. If I had a chance to hide and the strength to hide, I might be sneaking about the vessel to do that. But, might not make doing anything easier if I kill people. The sounds of boots crossing the deck drew his attention as the man returned, this time with a woman who was looking rather tired. This is the man. Yep, the sailor replied, pointing towards Dante. Are you planning on throwing me overboard? Dante asked as he looked over the new arrival. Can you make it worth our while not to? The king will pay quite nicely. He pulled out a gold-minted coin that had 2 streaks of bronze running through it, as 2 diagonal lines. And what is that? Payment if presented to the minters at the capital city. Give this to them, they'll hand you 150 gold pieces for you and your crew or whoever you decide to split the money with. You plan to hand it to us at the end of this trip, no doubt. For my safety, of course, ma'am. You think we'll just let you keep it until the end of the trip? It works out better for everyone if I survive to give this to you. Less questions would be asked if you cash in this coin. You think we wouldn't get past being questioned? The man who rescued him asked. You might, sir, but if I ever spend a coin, it is well known that I will send a letter releasing the funds to the bank. No letter, no money as a result. Rising slowly from his spot and still stretching himself out, Dante stood his full height, not hoping to intimidate the two to go along with this, but really just to stretch and feel good once again. This really will pay out? Yes, it will. With narrowed eyes, this new crew member turned sharply on her heels and stormed off. The sailor who found him followed along like a puppy dog. The boat docked in the morning at the city of Jacob, which Dante figured was not close to where he'd wanted to be. With a sigh, he handed over a letter and the coin to the 2 who found him and negotiated with him before departing down the gangplank. There was no waiting around, and he wasn't sure that the dock foreman wouldn't want to question him, since there was an empty ship and an extra person coming back. It wasn't really his concern, so he hurried down the docks and into town before any questions could come to him. After spending some time wandering around to lose any potential followers, Dante paused near a side street. This was in a business area of town, and there was plenty of nautical shops thanks to all of the fishermen of this place, and a few other places for one to lose themselves in. But he had a problem. None of these places looked like they would be a great help to getting him where he needed to go. He'd been told the Reinholm estate, but that had proved to be an island, not near a town. So he had to figure out where this little town was, or what was even going on. A passerby stared at him for a long moment before coming to a stop in front of him. Mr. Dante? He looked to see a civil-looking, well-dressed man in a suit now standing in front of him and even taking a few steps approaching. Can I help you? Do I know you? Oh, you most certainly do, sir. We worked together a few years ago on a job. I see. My apologies for not remembering you, then. Oh, of course. My appearance is much changed and much different then, so it makes sense. If you don't mind me mentioning, you look rather lost. He eyed the man, trying to figure out if he could trust him or not. Nothing about him said that he was, which made the next part difficult. I've just been on a voyage and have just landed. My bearings are rather shot, and I'm looking for a town, or a former one that shouldn't be too far off from an island. That's a lot of places along the shoreline, I'm afraid. Since you don't remember me, I'm Jude, by the way. Is there anything specific you can give me about this place? An estate. The island was called the Reinholm Estate. Should be near there, if it was an island in the first place. The man nodded at that and peered off into the distance to think for a moment. He came back to look at Dante with a swift nod, yes. I don't think I know that place exactly, but I've heard of an estate near an island. An estate island near a town, maybe not, I don't know, I don't really remember, but it was about 30 or so miles in a northerly direction or something like that. The town that's near it, you mean? It's not easy to get to, then? Well, if you follow the coastline road, you shouldn't have too much trouble. It's probably along there, but it will take you some time if you don't have a horse. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Do you know what the town is called? And what is this one? The town? I think it's called Old Briarwood or something like that. Never been there or heard passing stories. This town, though? Oh, well, it's just whatever you want to call it. It has plenty of nicknames, I guess. What stories have you heard about this place? Old Briarwood, Dante asked. Oh, you know, the kind of thing that Kingdom doesn't like. I think it's mostly rumors, but I rarely hear of anyone headed there unless everyone believes the rumors that everyone's up to no good there. Dante stepped from the side street and looked about for the nearest stable and bank. He preferred the bank first, since it was low on funds. Do you need help with anything else? Closest bank and or the stables? Well, down the main road you'll find both. Are you sure you're okay getting there? Yeah, I should be fine. Though now that I think about it, only bad people want to go there. That's not to associate with me, in case I am one of those. Also, don't go running to the sheriff. It will only complicate matters. The man looked at him oddly for this, but said nothing more and took a few tentative steps away. With a nod, Dante moved past him and began walking away. He figured probably shouldn't have said that whole threatening warning things, since it would only lead to questions and potential visit from the sheriff, so he hurried along. A short visit to the bank, then another of those coins had been dropped off. Dante now had some gold to spend. He hadn't waited around long, going to the nearest stable with the corny name of Rustic Stables. Inside he found one of the workers tending to horses. Excuse me, can I rent a horse here? Oh, yes, you can. Costs about a bit of money, though. Yes, everything does. I know that. I'm looking to make a short trip up to a nearby town along a coastal road, a couple of days and then back again. How much would that run me? 5 gold. That was certainly a price, and it made Dante raise an eyebrow in surprise. He wasn't expecting things to be so expensive. Yes, it was a town that wasn't exactly near anything, so the prices would be higher. But still, 5 gold? What would 2 gold get me? A lame horse with no saddle or feed for the trip. That didn't sound right, and he wanted to question it. The bigger problem was if he had time to figure out if he could question it or not. The more time around here, the less time on the road and finding a way out of this town. What's the reason for your high price? It's the price that I was told to charge for people. Enough strangers coming into town and the horses never return. They're expensive animals to keep, you know. Will I actually get a good horse if I pay that fee? Yeah, they'll do a couple of days trip without problems. It didn't sound like a good deal, and Dante figured that it probably was pretty much the same at any place he would visit. So with a sigh, he pulled out a few gold coins and handed them over. The worker was quick and got him onto a nice-looking horse. They were soon saddled up and ready to go and being led out of this stable. Dante found the coastal road with little trouble and hurried from the town, going down it. At first it had been a clear-cut and easily defined roadway made of bricks, though sometimes devolving into dirt before going back. It took a while, but it was soon just dirt, and then with the trees and grass all growing closer as he went down it. The afternoon soon grew longer, and he frowned, wondering if he'd waited too long to depart, but he hadn't had much choice in that matter. There was only so much time, and he'd already probably made that man suspicious of him. So, well, it was all what it was. There was a small clearing up ahead that showed the ocean and the curve of the land. He came to a stop next to it and studied what was there. That looks like a bit of a village up ahead. Don't know the road, but I doubt that's where I'm headed. It seems too close. A place to stop for the night? Potentially one, if the sheriff isn't chasing after me. He mulled his words. It felt good to say out loud. It didn't help much, but it was something to do in his tired state. Sleep had been a precious thing, and he hadn't gotten much on the boat, so he would need to get some soon. Right, ride to that town, see what's going on there, and if nothing good, I'm close enough to this old briarwood, and then I'll just ride on. He spurred his horse into action after glancing behind him. The road was clear, and he hadn't seen a soul on it since departing. It was a great thing since it let him see who was coming, but it also made for a lonely trip. He was used to being alone for these kinds of things, though. Right now, some company might be appreciated, since they might be able to help him in some sense of what was going on in all the matters around him. The sun was now announcing that it was early evening by the time he rode into this town he'd seen. It wasn't much of a place, more of a hovel of homes and fishing huts that collected around farmland and, had been made into the center, that had been made in the center of this town on a green. There were a few people around, and those who were there gave him one look and then hurried off to keep up with their work. Dante rode up towards the stable area, where a worker was busy moving hay. He noticed him as his horse neighed and moved towards the stables. "Evening, stranger. Although I'm wondering how long of a ride it would take to get to the old briarwood from here, if this isn't the place in question." Nope. This isn't that little horrid town. We have no association with them other than the road leads that way. A few people sometimes come riding on by, heading there, and occasionally stop, such as yourself. I take it the place isn't close by, then. Oh, it's another day's ride. So would get you there by evening or so, everyone claims. Never gone there myself. So do you have an inn that has room for a lonely traveler? Oh, right over there if you don't mind sleeping in a barn. This worker pointed towards the horses' stables that he was tending to. And I suppose that's where the horses also rest. It's not much of a place to stay. That would be right, sir. The only animals that stay here are work animals for the town. With a shake of his head, he turned his horse towards where he'd been pointed. It was a ramshackle little shack that looked like it could barely house a horse. He grimaced at the sight, prodding his horse to go over towards it. Animal did so reluctantly. There was a woman, though, who emerged from a nearby place that looked to be a drinking establishment. "And what are you doing?" I'm sorry, I was looking for a place to stay for the night. This kind man told me that I could put my horse in that shack and pay money to sleep there as well." The lady gave a sharp look over to the man who was at that stable, then back towards Dante. "He likes to talk about what he doesn't know. If you've got the money, you can stay in one of our rooms we have for the night." Thank you. And my horse?" "We'll be staying at that man's stable despite what he sent to you." Dante dismounted from the horse, stretched, holding off a yawn that had been creeping around him since he'd gotten off that boat. There was actually, now that he noticed it, 2 stables, really. There was the one that the man had actually been working that looked more like farm animals, but really, there were a few horses in there, and then there was that old shackle of a barn that could probably hold an animal, but probably not. "How much for the room and a small request to forget I was ever here, miss?" Well, I hear that sort of thing a lot. We don't ever fully forget, but we all have our prices. 3 gold. 4, she bartered, and he nodded yes. Having settled in for the evening, Dante now sat at a table, having been served a dinner. There was some recognizable smells from it, but the looks didn't do as much to signify what it actually was. Still, they were good smells, which was half the battle, and he was starving plus exhausted, which made fighting so much harder to do, and he had the worries and threats that something was going to happen. But for him, the 2 things that really mattered right now was getting that food in him, and then getting some sleep. Thank you for the meal. He said this to Sylvia, who just served him, who turned out to be the inn owner, as the front door burst open, and in walked 3 men. End of part 5 of A Spy's Dagger. Thank you for listening.